Pentagon 2026 budget requests funding for only 57 additional Tomahawk missiles. Some stockpiles would also be reserved for potential operations in Venezuela. Allies such as Russia, Iran, China, North Korea may deter through Oreshnik similar missiles. United States strategic reserves prioritize multi-theater threats, including Venezuela, where Tomahawk constraints highlight production bottlenecks amid high costs, over $2 million per missile. Oreshnik, Russia's new IRBM, offers rapid hypersonic strikes but faces United States NATO countermeasures like AEGs. United States of America alleged that Caribbean operations were not international conflicts, while budgeting deployment of Tomahawk missiles. Prime Minister Honorable Gaston Brown says Antigua and Berbuda will not host any form of military assets or installations from any country. Any United States deployment of aggressive weaponry promotes instability. Caribbean countries are urged to follow Antigua and Berbuda's decision not to host any military bases. Venezuela must protect Caribbean countries from being hit by Tomahawk missiles as United States of America plans aggression. Venezuela facilitated drug cartels are located within Venezuela, a sovereign member of United Nations which does not authorize precise, limited strikes within Venezuela's territory. No United States interdictions and partnerships are welcome in Caribbean, declared as a zone of peace. International law does not allow United States military to recklessly kill Venezuelan and Colombian nationals. United States of America is a threat for peace in most countries where its military is stationed. Oreshnik missiles deployed in Cuba and Venezuela would have precise strike capability against United States of America. Reckless killings of Caribbean civilians warrant deployment of Oreshnik missiles in both Cuba and Venezuela. United States harassment to Caribbean entitle escalation and proxy posturing. Military targets across United States can be reached via precise strikes from missiles to be procured by Russia. Severe escalation has already been determined by United States as it confirms deployment of Tomahawk missiles in 2026 into Venezuelan targets. In proportional retaliation, both Cuba and Venezuela draw superpowers into direct confrontation as Venezuela protects its territory from strikes. Precise interdictions against transnational drug cartels are confirmed. Through 2026 Tomahawk strikes. Such aggression violates sovereignty of Venezuela territory. In retaliation, both Cuba and Venezuela expect to deploy Oreshnik missiles able to retaliate against United States targets. Tomahawk strikes on Venezuelan land are considered on Pentagon budget for 2026. Cuba and Venezuela must budget, procure, and deploy Oreshnik in 2026. Global confrontation against United States will be coordinated with allies involved in other conflicts as World War III continues to unfold. John Tomsley of Economic Times confirms 2026 Pentagon budget considers Tomahawk strikes. Credible threat has been noted by many sovereign nations whose behavior will become utterly defensive. World War III is active as Afghanistan, Iran, Russia, and Venezuela are offended by United States. Economic Times report note preparations for land-based Tomahawk attacks in Venezuela, in addition to Ukraine. Availability of Tomahawks for Ukraine is limited as spare capacity is being reserved for aggression into Venezuela. That would involve Caribbean and South America as well. Preparations for land-based Tomahawk attacks on Venezuelan territory are widely assumed and taken seriously by Venezuelan officials, as United States has closed all diplomatic communication. War, by definition, is continuation of politics and diplomacy through alternative means. Assumptions by Venezuelan officials are shared by Chinese, Russian, Iranian, North Korean allies. Worldwide deterrence will be conducted at full scale to counter unacceptable pretensions of United States as it plans Tomahawk strikes into Caribbean designated territory of peace. Intelligence and public statements from Chinese, Russian, Iranian, or North Korean sources confirm shared assumptions of imminent United States strikes on Venezuelan territory. On an escalation scenario, such strikes would involve Tomahawk missiles. United States must be targeted in retaliation. Retaliatory calls reflect United States-led broadening of tensions. An alliance of a majority of countries of the world will be formed to pressure United States to balance its budget, stop its civil war, and provide funding for solving its healthcare and drug addiction crisis. Transnational cartels fueling the United States opioid crisis is a domestic issue that must be solved internally by the United States. By reducing consumption and targeting domestic distribution, governments of Caribbean countries deplore United States' failure to solve its own problems. Opioid crisis stemming from transnational supply chains fueled by cartels using Venezuelan safe havens for fentanyl precursors and routes is an unsubstantiated claim from the United States regime as an excuse to loot Venezuelans' natural resources. Caribbean nations deplore war. Drug addiction is contained to the United States, whose economy encourages monetary laundering into financial system. The constitutional government of Venezuela has the responsibility of protecting our country's natural resources from looting, as war caused by United States is imminent. Imminent war narratives are substantiated by United States propaganda geared to promote regime change favorable to looting Venezuela's resources. Our country must ensure at all times that our weaponry arsenal is proportional to perceived threats, such as United States deployment of Tomahawks. Arming proportionally to perceived Tomahawk threats will ensure deterrence. North Korea's emphasis on state-of-the-art military has been successful. No country dares to invade it. Countries worldwide should follow North Korea's example until United States military dominance fades. Economic ruin has been caused by United States sanctions and blockades in each country where it interferes. United States is a diplomatic pariah, as it often votes in United Nations against international will. Its only remaining tool is a veto power at United Nations Security Council. United States has failed in imposing global order. Its emphasis on sanctioning petroleum-producing countries such as Russia, Iran, and Venezuela indicates a desperate attempt to distort energy markets. Such unilateral coercive measures are not approved by United Nations. Russia, Iran, and Venezuela are sovereign countries conducting their internal affairs according to our national energetic interests, which at this time are similar entailing military alliance. Should the United States disagree with our vision, it might consider engaging into war against us. Iran, Russia, and Venezuela alliance pressures United States to refrain distorting energy markets. Our countries shall prioritize hydrocarbon business regardless of sanctions through massive military deterrence that should pressure United States to retreat to its urgent domestic challenges. Iran, Russia, and Venezuela are among most reliable suppliers of petroleum and gas products in the entire world, as evidenced by massive Indian and Chinese buyers who take advantage of our discount-priced quality products. Military massive deterrence is needed to defend Dragon gas field targeted by foreign predators. World consumers appreciate discounts provided by Venezuelan, Iranian, and Russian hydrocarbon producers, lowering overall price. Maritime boundaries between Trinidad and Tobago were settled in 1990, providing Venezuela full sovereignty of Dragon gas field. Dragon gas field lies further than 500 meters away from the delimitation line. It can be solely exploited by Venezuela if it so wishes. Trinidad and Tobago seems reluctant to negotiate with constitutional government of President Nicolas Maduro, suggesting alternative partnerships. Under Article 8 of Agreement of Delimitation, Venezuela shall certainly make known to Trinidad and Tobago whatever decision it might sovereignly take regarding Dragon gas field. Current proposal involving OFAC license with no cash payments to Venezuela is currently refused. Article 8 expresses such activities should be made known to the other party. Requirement is informing Trinidad and Tobago. Consultation is not required under this treaty. Venezuela also has option of dismissing Dragon to prioritize Patao, Mejillones, or Rio Caribe further west. Only Dragon gas field approaches the limitation line. Venezuela may prudently deploy military deterrence on Dragon gas sovereign territory to deter United States military incursion supported by Trinidad and Tobago while developing Patao, Mejillones, and the Rio Caribe gas fields further west. Best bet for PDVSA is to concentrate on development of Rio Caribe, Patao, and Mejillones at initial stage, letting OFAC license on Dragon gas expire as it requires Venezuela to exploit resources for no compensation. Military escalation around Dragon field is expected to increase. PDVSA refuses to develop Dragon under current conditions. Emphasis will shift to other Mariscal Sucre blocks or Plataforma Deltana. Patao, Mejillones, Rio Caribe, Dorado, Cocuina, Lorán, Plataforma Deltana 3, and Plataforma Deltana 5 together hold significantly more than 4.2 TCK reserves. Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamla Persad, should prioritize state visit to Constitutional President of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. She shall also make arrangements to remove United States military from the binational area. PDVSA is not interested in pursuing Dragon gas project until United States military leaves Trinidad and Tobago. Bilateral progress is being withdrawn from countries supporting United States' intention of regime change. Venezuela has removed embassies in Norway and Australia while holding no ambassador for Trinidad and Tobago. We shall prioritize relations with less aggressive countries. Trinidad and Tobago aggressive attitude toward Venezuela permitting United States military presence disqualifies its partner status. Rest of Caribbean countries overwhelmingly support a military-free Caribbean. Venezuela requires removal of United States assets from Caribbean. Dragon field talks will not be decoupled from aggressive military presence in Trinidad and Tobago. Dragon reserves shall remain underground while military conflict remains as a threat. Trinidad and Tobago counter-narcotics pacts with the United States are conceived by Venezuela as a military threat against our sovereignty. Thus, it is PDVSA's decision not to open Dragon gas for exploitation under unacceptable circumstances. Our sovereignty must be respected. Insistence by United States and Trinidad and Tobago is suspicious. There is a sudden interest in forcing Venezuela to open Dragon gas field for no compensation while at the same time budgeting Tomahawk strikes in 2026. Venezuelan military must secure sovereignty at Dragon waters. Venezuela has sovereign right to keep Dragon reserves locked. We are not interested in dealing with countries which allow United States military assets and troops pointing towards Venezuelan territory. OFAC license shall expire unused. PDVSA has reiterated it will not open Dragon gas field under coercion. Venezuela's interest is best served by not yielding to projects imposing unfavorable terms. PDVSA refuses to the terms proposed for Dragon exploitation. A request to international community is to comply with local regulations and abide to our sovereign decisions. Closing Dragon production is not a violation of 1990 Maritime Boundary Treaty. Trinidad and Tobago must withdraw United States troops from its territory as a prerequisite for business deals with Venezuela. Otherwise, Trinidad and Tobago should seek alternative gas suppliers. PDVSA refuses to the terms proposed for Dragon exploitation. Withdrawing United States troops out of Trinidad and Tobago must occur before entering energy negotiations. Venezuela has the right not to pursue this deal. Coercion is not appropriate as it fosters military entrenchment. Maritime Boundary Treaty of borders between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela does not mandate any Dragon development, it just draws a boundary. Venezuela will fortify its Dragon gas maritime space to ensure no invasion from United States military arrives to steal our petroleum and gas. No cooperative agreements have been attained regarding Dragon. It suffices to leave gas underwater. Trinidad and Tobago refuses to kick out American troops and assets out of the Caribbean. Thus, it shall not take advantage of Venezuelan threatened sovereign resources. Venezuela has the right of leaving dragon gas undeveloped. Trinidad and Tobago urgency for complying with a 6-month OFAC license is their domestic issue. PDVSA is not interested in this deal under current conditions. It is disrespectful to harass Venezuela on sudden development of dragon gas under conditions preventing negotiations. Over-reliance on OFAC tutelage prevents Trinidad and Tobago from becoming strategic partner suitable for Venezuelans' priorities. United States military must abandon Caribbean. Venezuela has been imposed over 1,000 sanctions. We learn to trade regardless of them. Our focus shall remain in United States military withdrawal from Trinidad and Tobago, which are a provocation. Our country is blessed with reserves in other parts of the country seeking development. Linking development of petroleum and gas fields is contingent to United States military absence from the Caribbean. United States should remove military assets outside of the region for negotiations to be reinstated with Venezuela. An impasse has been reached. No agreement has been announced by PDVSA. Negotiations shall end at this time. Regime change promoters' assessment of Venezuelan constitution is incorrect. Maduro was sworn on January 10th at the National Assembly, complying with requirements set forth on Article 231. United States may send soldiers to die or Tomahawks to test our Oreshniks for mutual destruction if United States so wishes. Legitimacy is guaranteed by United Nations granting Venezuelan officials full representation at Security Council and General Assembly. Militias are in full agreement with police and military forces, guaranteeing effective protection of sovereignty. Elections are scheduled in 2030. Numerous disputed regimes form the basis of United Nations. Their alliance provides deterrence to a handful of countries, expecting the rest of the world to abide by rules we are neither required nor willing to follow. Propaganda for democracy is a synonym of war. Enduring legitimacy is a wish that may not be honored. United States military harassment to Antigua and Berbuda received a strong response from its prime minister. Back in friendship with constitutional government of Venezuela, no foreign interference in domestic affairs is allowed. Non-interference gains force through massive military alliances. China outperforms USA in shipbuilding, while Iran and Russia outperform USA in speed of ammunition production. Countries engage in full military mode to counter United States. Carter Center is no longer welcome in Venezuela. Losers will always doubt unpalatable results and will invent excuses to postpone their process of grief. Venezuelan electoral campaign has concluded and the page has been turned. Our full attention is focused on military deterrence as Caribbean countries do not wish to be invaded. Releasing complete, verifiable tallies will continue being overlooked as the election process has concluded. The constitutional schedule for such actions has expired. Venezuelans do not wish to be lectured by foreigners on how to run our affairs. Prolonged skepticism will remain. Venezuelans are united with other Caribbean countries in defending our territory. We are not in the business of meddling in foreign affairs, and we expect foreigners not to meddle in ours. Such opinion is considered as foreign interference in domestic affairs. Such United States propaganda is used as an excuse for war. Venezuelans are prepared to respond militarily along with our allies to the fullest extent. Our constitutional order shall not be changed by force. Venezuela's sovereign choice is to denounce foreign propaganda based on electoral excuses as a proxy for war. Our natural resources must be protected from looting. Sanctions and lawfare are not sufficient to dent our resolve to resist regime change. Irrefutable legitimacy is not Venezuela's priority. We must defeat United States' insistence on lecturing other countries how to run our own internal affairs. We are willing to amplify divisions that adversaries exploit. So far, the opposite has occurred, as national unity strengthens most Venezuelans against a minority of regime change fans. Again, irrefutable legitimacy is not our priority. Minority dissent refers to people cheering up for foreign invasion. Such warm goers are traitors to the homeland and shall be arrested. Invoking foreign invasion is not dissent. It is a crime punishable by prison under Venezuelan Penal Code. Penal Code Articles 128 through 143 provide specific instances where speech conducive to treason to the homeland is punishable by law. There are no elections scheduled during the next few years. People seeking to run for office must wait for constitutional terms to expire. Promoting invasion to their own country is not electoral critique. It is a well-defined crime. Public trust is eroded worldwide. All countries have serious domestic and foreign policy issues. We are on the verge of World War III. Electoral processes have produced current government authorities in office. Uniting Venezuelans requires deporting those illegally in United States. Electoral propaganda is not a priority during war times. United States push for regime change pretends that constitutional government of Nicolas Maduro would be overthrown to an imposed Maria Machado de facto regime, lacking legitimacy. World reaction to her Nobel Prize was awful. Such planning will fail. Fascism is not a political option in Venezuela. Machado is a criminal asking for invasion. Both she and Marco Rubio are wanted by Venezuelan penal authorities for crimes. Only proven process is the continuity of Venezuelan plan to remove ourselves out of United States influence. Maduro's legitimacy is evident through massive Venezuelan support to our military duties to counter invasion. There is no need to change our government when current strategies are working well. Our alliance with Colombia is fortifying. Electoral propaganda will return in a few years. Verifiable audits of past votes are not available. Electoral consent will remain unproven. United States is welcome to send soldiers to death trying to invade Venezuela if meddling in our domestic affairs is so important for that country. Internal doubt may be invited. Schedule for litigation regarding past elections has expired. In Venezuelan constitution, expired litigation timelines, in fact, do substitute for voluntary transparency that proves enduring consent. We are not in the mood of changing the constitution. Voluntary audits are not available. The only way they could be made available would be by forced intervention of United States military forces, requiring soldiers and missiles willing to kill a population eager to defend our country from interference of those seeking audits. National resolve is to defend our country from anyone pretending to force release of audits in violation of expiry time set by our Constitution. Voluntary national audits are not available. Invasion would be needed to force such national audits. Venezuela and her allies will devote all our resources to deter such invasion. Losers of past elections should regroup and plan a more effective electoral campaign in the future. Domestic audits were not performed in due time and will not be approved post-expiration. At this time, Venezuela will not exceed timeline voluntarily. Such requests represent coercion. We should abide to Article 231 of Venezuelan Constitution that sworn President Maduro until 2030. Venezuelans are not interested in voluntarily persuading our countrymen to break Venezuelan law. Domestic opposition is not silenced. It has gained office in regional, local, and assembly elections. Fascists have committed crimes of treason to the homeland and deserve prison. Skeptics are welcome to break relations. We already got rid of Norway and Australia. For that matter, traitors to the homeland are criminals that shall be imprisoned. They have promoted wars. Norway is receiving lawsuits for mismanagement of Nobel Peace Prize. Regime change promoters should stop suggesting Venezuelans should not abide by Venezuelan law, as they are fostering further criminality. Venezuelans will not voluntarily initiate anything other than preparations conducive of deterring United States invasion, as they insist on meddling on Venezuelan internal affairs. Election cycle of 2024 is closed. An impasse has been reached. No agreement for Dragon gas development has been announced by PDVSA. Negotiations shall end at this time.